Afternoon, Bruce. How's it going?
Sorry
Good
about
evening.
that. I'm doing pretty good. Just eating my lunch.
Oh, great. Glad to hear it. Looks like you're about on the same time there as the president. Evening there, Skipper of Veterans Nation. Unfortunately, I'm not Joe. I'm one of the co-hosts, Big Ron. Joe is indisposed right now with work, but I am here to make a mockery of this thing. So we're still waiting for President Trump and Putin to come out and have their joint press conference after their daily meeting. Hopefully, these things went well, and not only will this cause a ceasefire in Ukraine, and we can get some headway there, but maybe it'll soften the relationship between the U.S. and Russia. We might be able to get some bigger wins out of this. But like I've said earlier, the chat is open, so feel free to post anything in the chat. We'll go ahead and answer it live on the air. And don't forget, we have the grand jury tonight. It's a great show if you've never seen it. It starts at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central. Runs for 2 hours. We have a panel of mock jurors. We watch live police videos, make the decision if it's going to be a bill or no bill. It's really great to see how the generalized public looks at these and makes the decision. We also have our panel of special guests. We have a couple of retired police officers and former military personnel that are also there on the panel to answer any questions. So definitely check out the show tonight, 9 o'clock, 8 Central. You've got myself and Bruce Wayne on the air right now to answer all of your questions or just, in general, say hi, guys.
Oh, well, you only got me for about 20 minutes. Then I got to go back to work, unfortunately. But hopefully they started up here before then, so I can see a bit of it. And thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anytime, Bruce. You know you're always welcomed on. Would love to get Joe's insight on this, but Joe's a little indisposed today, and I got lucky. I got off early on a Friday. Small miracles never cease to amaze me.
Hey, can't say no to that. It's a good way to start the weekend. Hope you cracked open a bottle of bourbon already.
Well, unfortunately, I can't crack open a bottle of bourbon for another 18 minutes because in 18 minutes it'll be 5 o'clock and I will be officially off the clock, and then I can crack open that bottle of bourbon. I do have the grill lit though, so that's always a plus. Got a nice big roast I'm going to throw on the grill tonight. Cook that for a while, so that ought to be really good.
What kind of roast are you making tonight?
Just a standard chuck roast. Got it seasoned up and I've let it rust in the kitchen there for a little bit. Come up to room temperature because we all know that room temperature meat cooks better than cold meat. So it's been coming up to room temperature. Gonna bring temperature up to about 450 on the grill and sear it off real good, and then let it cook for a little bit. Get to that nice medium rare, and go ahead and throw it on the table.
Sounds spectacular. What do you season it with?
I used a generalized seasoning that I've got, from our older show that we haven't brought back to the air yet. But folks, that show could very well come back to the air at some point. It was called The Smoke Show. Ran on Sunday afternoons, and it was all about smoking and barbecuing meat. Phenomenal show. I would look forward to that maybe coming back in the next few months. But the seasoning I'm using tonight is by Suckler Buster. It's a 1836 beef rub. Really good, big coarse grains of salt and pepper in there, along with garlic and onion and some other stuff in there. So that should come out real good.
Sounds magical. What time is this meeting supposed to kick off?
I've been trying to find out exactly what time the meeting's going to be. I want to say that I heard somewhere 5 o'clock local their time, or I'm sorry, 5 o'clock local our time, because they were having a working breakfast. For those of you that haven't seen some of these, haven't seen some of the earlier pictures of President Putin coming in from overseas and landing in Alaska. They had F-35s lined up for him, and they did a flyover with F-22s and a B-2. So they're definitely trying to show the respect of a president from another country, regardless of what your personal feelings are. So I definitely feel that President Trump is trying to grease the wheels there.
Well, absolutely. I thought the same with them picking the Alaska location. It was sort of you don't. I'm not going to come to Moscow. You don't have to come to DC. We'll kind of meet halfway. Yeah, he's definitely extending an arm, trying to make this peace talk work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like I said earlier, I think if we can get this peace talk to go through, not only are we going to be looking at a ceasefire for Ukraine, but we could maybe soften the tensions between the U.S. and Russia, and there definitely could be uh, some, some comings there for us on top of that, because that could definitely maybe drive a wedge between Russia and China, which would definitely be a bonus.
Oh yeah, once if that can be settled, Ukraine, Russia, and just the whole world is going to be far better off. That would be great to be able to put in the rear view mirror. So yeah, it looks like it's supposed to start 11:30, at least according to Grok. Pretty sure probably
11.
reputable. 11:30 Alaska time, 3:30 Eastern.
Well, it's 4:45 Eastern, so obviously they're taking their time, but we all know that President Trump's on his own time.
Is that Jack Sobek?
I was just wondering if that was Jack Posobiec, and he's talking into his phone, so I'm going to make the assumption that that's exactly who that is.
That's funny.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he's doing a recording right now. I don't think he's doing anything live. Well, no, he is doing live. He's pointing around, so I'm assuming he's probably live. I don't think I have Jack Posobiec, funny enough, followed on any of my stations. And if you guys aren't already doing it, make sure you give our loyal leader Joe Lanu a follow on Rumble. You can always catch all the shows that we do on Rumble, and you can also catch him on YouTube. Joe Lanu on YouTube. Definitely make sure you add him to your watch list. You can find myself and Bruce almost every time he goes live. We'll be on there for all the shows, including tonight's show, The Grand Jury. Kind of surprised there's not more background audio. Although I didn't want to grab too big of a station because we know how that is. Don't want to get a strike, so I went with a smaller station.
They usually have some background commentary going leading up to the event.
Yeah, I can't remember who all's there today. I think Sean Hannity is already in Alaska. He's supposed to do either a joint interview with President Trump and President Putin tonight, or at least an interview with President Trump. Uh, I'm sure all the other major talking heads are going to be there from either major news organizations. So that'll definitely be interesting to see how that works out tonight. To see what he has to say after Putin, and him have had this long meeting today. So.
Yeah, should be good. I'm interested in hearing what's said. I'm assuming Trump and Putin are talking right now before they come out and announce it. So maybe they're hammering out some final details, or who knows, maybe at a stalemate.
All right. This is a mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. We're going to do a mic check as requested by some of the staff members. So mic check 1, 2. This is President Trump's lectern. So just giving a little mic check here, seeing how everything sounds. Yes, I'll continue to speak for a moment. And if Zach, if you would like to go ahead and say a few words.
Yes, so I'll be speaking from the Russian lectern right over here, doing some audio checks for our team in the back. Again, this is our perfect time to make sure if we do have any interpreters that are in the booth to kind of do everything. If not, from this podium,
While we're letting them do their mic checks, let's take a look at the
stairs, Air Force One.
let's take a look at this morning when they both landed.
Giving his trademark fist bump there at the top of the stairs. Now coming down the stairs, and we expect to see Vladimir Putin at about the same time emerge from the plane there as well. Again, you're watching ABC News live coverage of this historic summit. This is Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage, Alaska. Vladimir Putin just now emerging from the plane there and coming down the stairs. And again, we have not seen a summit, a meeting of this magnitude on American soil in more than a decade between an American president and Vladimir Putin. And in fact, the West, including the United States and Europe, had not communicated in person with Putin since the invasion of Ukraine more than 3 years ago. That war raging on, the fighting even in the last 24 hours. President Trump has made it very clear what he wants here is an immediate ceasefire. When asked if that's what he will get, the president has been very honest in these last couple of days, saying, I don't know what I'll get. He gave it a 25% chance of failure, but also said that he believes Vladimir Putin wants to make a deal here, that he wants to negotiate. The president was asked on his way on Air Force One, you've had a lot of phone calls with Putin, so what's the difference in a face-to-face and an in-person meeting? The president saying, no difference. He's a smart guy. He's been doing it for a long time. We get along. There's a good respect level on both sides, that he believes something will come of this. The president waiting there on the red carpet for Vladimir Putin.
He's definitely giving him the red carpet treatment.
Applauding there as Vladimir Putin approaches the president of the United States. Of course, we remember the summit between these two leaders during President Trump's first term in Helsinki. They met, and now they meet again right here. The eyes of the world on this moment.
I didn't realize Putin was so short.
Particularly because Ukraine, the future of Ukraine, the future of that conflict, the war that has taken so many lives on both sides of the conflict, hangs in the balance here. We have been told that President Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet together. They will each have two high-level aides from their cabinets, their administrations in the room as well. So there'll be 6 people in the room, 3 and 3. Steve Witkoff, and there you see a flyover, the B-2 flyover. That was expected. You can see the F-22s there and some of the cutaways from the cameras lining that red carpet. And there you have it. Obviously, you know what a photo op is, and that's the photo op. Still cameras there greeting these two leaders. That hand.
All right, so they're still doing sound checks and lighting checks there. So while we're waiting for that, you know, a lot of people don't know that my wife's a school teacher, and we all have a really good friend. He's come up with this phenomenal new product. It's called 3D Response. And I'm a personal believer that every school should have 3D Response installed in it. I took a trip up to Minnesota to go visit with our friend Jason, who's a 30-year retired police officer who's come up with this program. And it completely blew my mind as to how well somebody could come up with something to protect our kids. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys see this system. Tell me what you think. I really think you guys should repost this. Let everybody know about 3D response. It's a really great system.
Law enforcement is on the way. Law enforcement is on the way. Law enforcement is on the way.
I see you entering, take a right. You're going to proceed down the long hall, all the way to the end. You're going to go till the end where you're intersect to the classrooms. Keep going, I see you moving forward. Subject is held up in classroom 203.
Law enforcement is on the way. Law enforcement is on the way. Law enforcement is on the way.
And that was 3D response, and that was created by one of our very good friends, Jason, a 30-year retired police officer. That system is phenomenal. It can be retrofitted into any existing school, and it can be built right into any new school being built, and you don't even know the system's there. A lot of people have asked me in the past when we've done some of our shows, I don't want my child to go to a prison, and it looks nothing like a prison. You're not going to see this stuff whatsoever, just sitting around. You wouldn't even know that it's there. So it's a great system. I really implore you to look it up. He does have a website that you can go to. If there's any questions about it, please feel free to ask me about him in the chats. I can get you in touch with him, and he'll be more than happy to sit down and talk to anybody who wants to get this installed in their schools. It looks like we're still doing mic checks, and we're still waiting for President Trump and President Putin to join the stage to tell us about their summit. And for those of you that are just joining us, I'd like to welcome you to the show. This is the impromptu live stream for the President Trump and President Putin summit that they've just had in Alaska. We're waiting for them to come out and talk to everybody and let us know what they've come up with. Really hoping that this goes off well. It'd be nice to see the ceasefire over there. And like I was telling one of our other co-hosts here, Bruce Wayne, I think if this goes well, it could definitely soften relationships between Russia and the U.S., which could be a plus for us. We'll definitely see what happens. I just played a video a little bit ago showing President Putin and President Trump both arriving in Alaska at the same time, and they really rolled out the red carpet. So he's definitely wanting to soften the tone to get this meeting to go the way he wants. So let's hope that it goes well. And for those of you that don't know, we do a show every Friday night, most Friday nights, but every Friday night, we do a show called The Grand Jury, where we have a panel of 5 guests that come on and we watch live police videos. Those 5 police videos, those 5 guests look at those police videos and they make the decision of a bill or no bill. Did that police officer use justifiable force? Or did he not use justifiable force, and should he be taken to a grand jury? And it's never usually the same group. We always pull just random people. We send out messages and ask if you guys like to be on the show. All you've got to do is ask, and we'll be more than happy to get you lined up to be on the grand jury with everybody. You can do that by either sending a message to Joe Lanou, and you can also subscribe to him on YouTube. You can subscribe and follow him on Rumble. Or you can go ahead and message myself at Big Ron on X.com, and or my co-host Bruce Wayne. Any of us can get you onto the grand jury if you'd like. Feel free to watch the show tonight. It's great. It's 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. It's a lot of good times, good fun. nothing real overly serious. Sometimes we have some really good bantering back and forth, and other times it is what it is. Awful but lawful. So feel free to check the show out tonight, guys.
All right. So I'm just going to keep talking. We're going to do some Russian interpretation tests for folks. Yeah, going to hear the Russian translation in some of these headsets for those of you that are wanting to. Yeah, go ahead and go in the booth and go ahead and just start working on that. Meantime, I'm going to get these headsets up and running. Okay, so whoever was wanting to test the Russian channel should have been hearing that just now. And it should be cutting me out completely as he's talking. But let me know if there are any issues. We have tested this multiple times, so we should be good to go. However, should is not obviously the best place to be sitting. So just make sure that we'll once again verify and have the fidelity here. So again, testing the Russian translation. And are we having any issues? Can you get a thumbs up, or can I get a something from my audio team over there that this is working well for whoever it was that wanted to text it?
Yeah, this is the English channel.
Awesome.
This is the English channel. This is the English channel. Going to the Russian channel.
Can you hit the English booth
Go. This is the English channel right now. This is the English channel. This is the English channel going to the Russian channel.
So I should be able to hear it then, correct? So let me go ahead and take my radio out so you can hear.
English will be on this
There we
channel.
go. Good.
English will be on this channel.
Perfect. Thank you.
You need any more tests? Are you happy, or
Just
what's
keep
the?
talking for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
English.
Yes, good. Both headsets working great. So thank you.
Okay. Okay.
All
Great.
right, this concludes any audio checks for this little bit. Unless I get any indicators from members of the press or anyone else that might need to hear anything. Offering now. Otherwise, get a thumbs up just from anybody who's okay. All right, cool. Go ahead and mute me, Avi. Good.
For those of you just joining us, we're sitting here still waiting for President Trump and President Putin to come out from their meeting to talk to the press and the rest of the people. But while we're waiting, I've been talking about a show that we do every Friday night called The Grand Jury. Let's go and take a look at tonight's promo video for that.
Do you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Shetties?
No.
You
I
think-
don't even speak to the... I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
I was conscious of the fact that he had a reputation for being an outstanding bookmaker.
You ever hear him referred to as the Prime Minister of the Underworld?
That term I did not.
Also known as Duck Corella. I refuse to answer on the grounds of an attempted criminal. Got any business? I refuse to answer on the grounds of attempted criminal. You have any profession? I refuse to answer on the grounds of made attempted. Have any occupation? I refuse to answer on the grounds of made attempted. Are you a known rat?
An incarcerated individual's use of institutional telephones constitutes consent, and your calls may be provided to law enforcement agencies. Thank you for using Securus.
All right, guys. So that's the intro and the new spot for the grand jury. I hope everybody takes a chance to come check that out tonight. That's 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. It's a great time. We have our host, Joe Lanou, who hosts the entire thing. You'll have me on the side pushing buttons. We have our friend Jason, who is the creator of 3D Response. He's hasn't missed a show yet. Well, he's missed one show, but he's just retired and went fishing, so he was allowed to do that. He's usually our special witness, 30-year retired police officer. Then we have our five jurors. So I really implore you to come check out that show tonight. It's a great time. We take live comments from the audience from all the channels that we stream to and post them up, answer your questions live. And then for those of you on X, we do an after party. Have an after party that we do that kicks off about 15 to 20 minutes, usually after the main show ends. And we usually let loose by that point because we've finished our bourbon or our cigars have gone out. And that's when we get into the nitty gritty. So things have a tendency to get a little rowdy in the after party. It's a great time, though. It's a good place to make friends. And I really implore you guys to all come out tonight and take a look at this. But as we sit now, it looks like it's 5 o'clock Eastern time. We're still waiting for them to finish up. This was supposed to be a working breakfast brunch. For those that saw the earlier video, they went all out for President Putin and President Trump with flyovers and static displays of our F-22s. So hopefully this summit turns out really good. All right, so while we're waiting for President Trump and President Putin to come out and do their summit, let's take a look at what it looked like when he arrived today.
President Trump there at the top of the stairs, Air Force One. Giving his trademark fist bump there at the top of the stairs. Now coming down the stairs, and we expect to see Vladimir Putin at about the same time emerge from the...
President Trump really went all out for this to make sure President Putin felt welcome in the U.S. to try to grease the skid, so to speak, to get this summit to go where he wants to go. If anybody's been watching this, we've seen that he said, I'll know within 5 or 10 minutes if he's just leading me on or not, and he was going to walk out if that was the case. And so far, this meeting's gone pretty long, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Plane there and coming down the stairs. And again, we have not seen a summit, a meeting of this magnitude on American soil in more than a decade between an American president and Vladimir Putin. And in fact, the West, including the United States and Europe, had not communicated in person with Putin since the invasion of Ukraine more than 3 years ago. That war raging on, the fighting even in the last 24 hours. President Trump has made it very clear what he wants here is an immediate ceasefire. When asked if that's what he will get, the president has been very honest in these last couple of days, saying, I don't know what I'll get. He gave it a 25% chance of failure, but also said that he believes Vladimir Putin wants to make a deal here, that he wants to negotiate. The president was asked on his way on Air Force One, you've had a lot of phone calls with Putin, so what's the difference in a face-to-face and an in-person meeting? The president saying, no difference. He's a smart guy. He's been doing it for a long time. We get along. There's a good respect level on both sides, that he believes something will come of this. The president waiting there on the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. applauding there as Vladimir Putin approaches the President of the United States. Of course, we remember the summit between these two leaders during President Trump's first term in Helsinki. They met, and now they meet again right here. The eyes of the world on this moment, particularly because Ukraine, the future of Ukraine, the future of that conflict, the war that has taken so many lives on both sides of the conflict, hangs in the balance here. We have been told that President Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet together. They will each have two high-level aides from their cabinets, their administrations in the room as well. So there'll be 6 people in the room, 3 and 3. Steve Witkoff, and there you see a flyover, the B-2 flyover. That was expected. You can see the F-22s there and some of the cutaways from the cameras lining that red carpet. And there you have it. Obviously, you know what a photo op is, and that's the photo op. Still cameras there.
All right, so it still looks like we're doing sound checks and audio checks and standing by for the president. All right, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that are just joining us, we are waiting for President Trump and President Putin to make their appearance after their summit today. Hopefully things went well. I was talking earlier with one of our co-hosts before he had to go back to work that hopefully this goes out well and we get the ceasefire with Ukraine, and this could actually soften some of the tensions between the U.S. and Russia. That could actually do very well for us. So, but while we're sitting here waiting for this to kick off, for those of you that are Second Amendment minded like myself, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. Got a really good friend of mine who has the Range Minded podcast. Phenomenal podcast. I really think everybody needs to check it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Range Minded podcast.
Have you ever wondered to yourself, man, what time does the store close? Or where's the best cheeseburger near me? Well, I'm not going to answer those questions. That's what your damn phone is for. Use that. Instead, if you have stuff related, to the 2A world, I'm your man. My name's Steve. I run the Range Minded Podcast. On the podcast, we talk about all things Second Amendment, whether it be new guns or gear. Maybe we talk about some training. We'll dig into Washington and the shenanigans they get up to. Sometimes we talk about the Supreme Court and the crap that they're doing. It's always a good time, a little smorgasbord of the 2A, if you don't mind me using that narrative. Either way, you can find us whether on YouTube or Rumble, Range Minded Podcast. I'm also on all sorts of streaming services, wherever you listen to your podcast, Range Minded Podcast. You can jump on the website, rangemindedpodcast.com. Maybe stop by, buy a patch and some other things. There you can link to the social medias and all that other stuff. Hope to see you there. It's always a good time. Anyways, you guys have fun, stay safe, and always stay range-minded. See you guys soon.
And that was Range Minded Podcast. Really great guy. I really implore you to go watch his podcast. Great information on there. Rather it's Second Amendment related, it's political that relates to the Second Amendment, or doing reviews on firearms and firearms accessory. I really suggest you go watch the Range Minded Podcast. You can find it anywhere where podcasts are found. So it looks like we have more people filing into the room now. So hopefully that's a good sign that we're going to have more people. We're getting close to President Trump and President Putin coming in to give us a breakdown of what they talked about. And if you guys aren't already doing it, I suggest that you get on Rumble. If you're on here from Rumble, take a look at Joe Lanou on Rumble. Give him a good follow. He's our host. He puts all these streams together for us to give you guys great shows on the weekends. You can also find him on YouTube at Joe Lanou on YouTube.com. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at Big Ron. That'd be big_Ron_ on X. Go ahead and give me a follow too if you like. You'll get all the news that's coming out, all the live show updates. If you ever want to join the grand jury, go ahead and shoot myself or Joe Lanou a message, and we'll get you on the grand jury, get you set up. It's a lot of fun if you guys have never done it or never watched the grand jury. I definitely suggest it. I'd like to welcome any of our Patreon viewers, if we have any Patreon viewers that have tuned in for this impromptu live broadcast. Welcome to the show. We really appreciate everything you do for us to help keep this show running. I do ask you that please give this a repost. A quote is always better. Go ahead and click that like button, share it. We have to fight the algorithm. Seems like the algorithm these days likes the big corporations better than the independents. So please click the like button, give us a share. Even if the quote's something as simple as a hi, the algorithm doesn't know if it's hi or if it's 500-word essay. Engagement is engagement. I'd like to welcome Hawk to the stage. He's a very close friend of the show's. Hawk, welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, another day living the dream, one nightmare at a time, as I like to say.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And we're
Pursuing
still
peace, yeah, that's a yeah.
Gotta love the headlines they come up with. Gotta love the headlines.
Jesus God.
So we've been sitting here for about 45 minutes waiting for them to come to the stage. They said it was going to be a working breakfast, lunch, brunch. So we'll see how working well that is.
Yeah, I'm not. So how you doing, man?
Well, not too bad. It's been a hot day, very very hot day. Had some thunderstorms that just rolled through my area, so I've got the grill fired up. We're gonna throw a chuck roast at the grill tonight for dinner. The wife's out there getting some mushrooms and some poppers ready to go towards the grill. So it's gonna be a good evening. Get all that done before tonight's show, the grand jury. So
Damn, now you got me wondering what I'm gonna do for dinner. I've been coming up with all the menu items for the last few days. I'm getting tired of it.
what is the one thing that we learn as adults? The hardest thing you'll ever do is figure out what you want to eat every day for the rest of your life.
Oh, it's worse. It's even worse than that. The hardest thing you'll ever do is figure out what other people want to eat for the rest of your life.
That is a nightly battle in my house between my wife, myself, my daughter, and my mother-in-law. We get the typical message, "What do you want me to take out for dinner?" And then the deciding begins.
Yeah, and most of the time the deciding is, I don't know. We had this the other day, and we had that. Maybe we could do that. No, people, that was not the question.
With us, unfortunately, we normally don't have too many leftovers. We've gotten where we can just about cook the right amount to where we don't have too horribly much left over, unless it's my brisket. And then there's lots of brisket left over, and we do brisket nachos and brisket tacos. And
Well, see, that goes. I fired up the pit last weekend, and I did sausage and fajitas and some other stuff. So it's been out there, but people have been eating on it and not telling me what they're eating. So I don't know what we've got left.
oh, that's horrible. What kind of a grill are you using? You using a regular grill? You using as Joe Lanu likes to say, a pellet microwave.
Oh,
Use
you start accusing me of using a pellet grill, we're gonna go round and round. Damn it! No, I build my own.
Oh, great!
And the one I'm using now is actually a 50-gallon water heater with a firebox off of one end. I've set it up as a double pass smoker pit. So I use wood, and I rebuilt the firebox about a month and a half ago because the old one was rusting out. And the new one with a smaller fire holds better heat than the old one did. And it's a bigger firebox now than what I had before. So I'm always learning.
Yeah, one of the things I had to do when I was in Virginia was I had a couple of old moving blankets, the old cotton ones or the wool ones,
Right.
and I would wrap the smoke chamber with these old wool blankets to help keep the temperature where I wanted them. But that's because I'm out there smoking meat in the snow.
Yeah, that makes it a little difficult.
Yeah, we don't really have that issue in Florida.
It adds a challenge.
I'll tell you, some of my best meat that I smoke here in Florida is actually during the winter because it's so cool out. I can get that temperature to a better, or that chamber to a better temperature.
Yeah, that's one of the things a lot of people forget is the atmospheric, the environmental factors on pit smoking that people who have the pellet grills don't have to deal with because the pellet takes care of it. Well, there's no damn skill in that shit. Just forget it. I'm not interested.
Pellet grills do make it a lot easier.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, but still.
I think one of the discussions that Joe Lanu and myself have had some of our older smoke shows was being able to get a bark on a brisket with a pellet grill versus the barks you can get on a brisket using a standard offset or barrel smoker. And I will definitely admit you cannot get the same level of bark that you can with an offset. It's a different type of grill, different type of smoking, different type of skill set. So it definitely gives you a different flavor.
It does. And one of the I'd read about when I built this one, I'd read about a double pass pit where they didn't use, you've got an offset, the offset firebox, obviously, but instead of the firebox feeding the smoke chamber, it actually passed all the smoke passed under the cooking chamber and then came back and out over the firebox. So basically the firebox and the chimney are at the same point, same end of the pit.
I think that's the same type that Vet LT uses. His is a double pass through where it goes under the chamber, then comes off to one side, then back across out the stack. I thought that was a very interesting design. I hadn't seen that before. Most of the stuff I've always used has been the typical offset. Got to get the smokestack and the inlet vent on the firebox just right to keep that flow right where you're not too hot and not too cold, and stoke it every so often.
Right. And that's what I was used to because that's what we've built before. And so I was thinking about this one. I happen to have some, and Joe gives me hell about this because I built stuff out of scrap. And somebody gave me the water heater, and I had some scrap sheet steel lying around and some other stuff. And it was like, well, I can do this and I can do this. And next thing I know, I've got a pit. And you're right, coming up with the bark with the standard quote unquote pit takes some getting used to. You've got to get the position right, and you've got to get the fire right, and you've got to get the draft right. This one, it's actually, in some ways, it's easier because I don't worry about heat so much. If I want it on the hot spot, I just put it right over where the firebox comes up because I'm not doing the direct heat's directed away. And then all the smoke is there. So it's, in some ways, it's easier to get the bark. In other ways, it's not. Depends on what kind of bark you want on it.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely skill there. One of the discussions we had on one of the smoke show episodes was the caramelization of sugars, and if you're basing your brisket or your chicken or your turkey with any kind of a spritz, does that help build a bark? I know I like to use an unfiltered apple cider mixed with bourbon. For those of you that don't know, I'm a very big bourbon fan. I like to spritz mine with the bourbon, and it does give a good bark. When Joe finally gets in here after he's done working for the day, he'll probably have some good insight on some of the ways to get a good bark on there. But I do think that the caramelization of the sugars do help make that bark. And for those that don't know, if you get your smoker too hot, you'll actually burn those sugars, and it'll be a bad day for your meat.
Yes, and that becomes a critical issue if it gets too hot. And that was a problem I had with my old firebox is I would get a good fire built up, but then the temperature would go too hot, so I'd have to open the smokestack, and then it would drop down so quick because it was a small fire. And so I was constantly battling that. And with the larger firebox, I don't have that much of an issue with it anymore. But having it too hot burns off the sugars, and that's where the burnt ends come in, is when you burn off the sugars and you burn and char the thinner parts of the brisket is where you get the burnt ends.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe and I have different opinions on what wood makes for the best smoke.
Well, we've had that discussion too. I'd like to welcome Pancake's Revenge to the stage. He's been a faithful follower of the show for as long as we've been out there, and a good personal friend before that. So, Pancake's, welcome. Good to hear from you again, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while.
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Well, another day living the dream.
Right on, right on.
Yeah, I agree that. So you may not agree with Joe, but we actually had this discussion before. Also, I think you may have been involved in that discussion of the different woods of how they provide different flavors. A mesquite's a more spicy wood to use on red meat, whereas hickory is a sweeter. It's not as spicy, and then you get into the oaks, and then you start getting into your fruit woods, the cherries, the oranges, and the peaches. They use those on even sweeter meats like the porks and fish. So it really all depends on what direction you want to go with that.
Exactly. And I'll typically use oak as a maintenance. And then when I've got it, I'll use mesquite for that spicy sweet but I also have been known to add peach and pear and pecan for the woody, nutty flavor. And Joe tells me I'm full of shit that doesn't do that. Oh, I said a bad word. I'm sorry.
There, Joe is just as passionate about the way he smokes any kind of a meat as what he is with some of his political commentary.
This is definitely true. And I just tell them, hey, you do you. I'm going to do me. I like using my pecan and peach and pear. So, whatever. They're still setting up and haven't gotten started yet. Good Lord.
Well, they came in earlier and they did a white level check, and then they did English and Russian translation checks on different channels. So we're still waiting for President Trump and President Putin to come through. But
damn it, that means Trump's going to speak. I'm going to have to mute. I can't stand listening to his voice. I'll go back and read what he said, and I it's like, okay, you've got a lot of good points here, but I cannot stand that man's voice. I don't know what it is.
Now, for those of you that are just joining the show, I'd like to welcome you. Oh, what do we got going on here? Okay, I think this is just a dry run here. Definitely getting more people in the room now.
They're still meandering around, though.
Yeah, I think we had Jack Posobiec in the room earlier. That was
really
doing some. Yeah, it looked like he was in the room doing some streaming. Probably about 20, 30 minutes ago, when our other co-host Bruce Wayne was in here, made the comment that it looked like Jack Posobiec was in here. Not in our stream, but actually at the summit. To clarify that, he was not in our stream. He was in the summit. But while we're sitting here waiting for this summit to start, for those of you that don't know, we do run a weekly show called The Grand Jury. For those of you that have never seen our Grand Jury show, I really implore you to come take a look at it. Let's take a look at tonight's promo for the show.
Do you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Shetties?
No. I don't even speak to the. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
I was conscious of the fact that he had a reputation for being an outstanding bookmaker.
You ever hear him referred to as the Prime Minister of the Underworld?
That term I did not.
Also known as Duck Corella. I refuse to answer on the grounds of defense. If you got any business, I refuse to answer on the grounds of attempt to criminal. If you have any profession, I refuse to answer on the grounds of made. If you have any occupation, I refuse to answer on the grounds of made. Are you a known right?
An incarcerated individual's use of institutional telephones constitutes consent, and your calls may be provided to law enforcement agencies. Thank you for using Securus.
And that's our promo show for the Grand Jury that we have every Friday night, 9 Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. I really ask everybody to come take a look at it. It's a great show, a lot of good banter back and forth. Have 5 random jurors that sit down and watch police videos, take a look at police use of force, and make the decision, did that officer use proper force? Was it excessive? Not enough? Is that going to be a bill or no bill, or an indictment or non-indictment? Pancakes Revenge and Hawk are usually in our audiences watching the show, so they obviously like it. But feel free to drop a comment, leave a like. The chat is currently open right now for our impromptu live our live stream. So go ahead, Hawk. What were you going to say?
Yeah, the Grand Jury is actually a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. It's also very informative. And listening to the banter and the deliberations amongst the jury members, it gets really funny sometimes. I highly recommend it for a Friday night.
It's definitely a great show to do on Friday nights. I very rarely miss them. You'll find me in the background pushing all the buttons, getting all the videos up, talking to everybody in the stream. Every so often, I'll pipe in and give my 2 cents worth, but normally I have to give change after that.
And actually, I want to actually raise that point because Big Ron does a hell of a job producing that show and keeping things moving, and does an awesome job at that. So kudos to you, sir.
I appreciate that, Hawk. I really do. That's it's one of the few things that I actually enjoy doing. After I get done with a long day of work, sit down at my computer, turn all my red lights on, fire up a cigar, nice glass of bourbon, and sit down with all of you guys out there on all the different streaming platforms and have a good Friday night. It's a good time.
And you just mentioned a glass of bourbon. That's actually a really good point, because where else are you encouraged to consume alcohol while observing and possibly judging on police use of force and not worried about being picked up by the police on your way home after the fact?
That is a really good point you bring up there, Hawk, because you can't get a DUI if you're sitting behind your computer.
Well, not now, at least.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah, give it time. Oh, you were keyboard warrioring while drunk, so you're going to jail.
Yeah, we don't live in Britain. And no offense to any of our people that we have that are watching from the great country of the UK.
We love you.
We love you to death, but we know how things are getting over there. And for those of you that are curious, right now, not this very second, but tonight's bourbon is probably going to be some Woodford Reserve, I think is what we're going to do tonight. And I just bought some nice acid cigars. I picked up a new Chandela, which ought to be nice. It's a green wrapper. We'll do that tonight. That should be a good paired combination to go with that chuck roast I'm getting ready to throw at the grill once the grill's up to the proper temperature. Looks like we're still waiting. It's been just over an hour, just a little bit over an hour, waiting for the President Trump and President Putin to make their way out to talk to us after their summit. I guess one way to look at it is the longer the summit, the better. Maybe that they're still in talk, or it could be one of those where the longer the summit, they could be arguing, but we're not going to know until they've come out and talked to everybody. Anybody got any good plans this weekend? I know my plans this weekend are pretty much doing exactly what I'm doing now. Nada. It's been way too hot down here.
Not myself. It's actually going to be a pretty quiet weekend, which is my wife's actually on a girls trip with some people from work, and normally, I would actually come up with something to do, but with the heat, like, no, I think I'm just gonna relax in the AC. Although I am supposed to be, like, after I get out of here today, I'm supposed to meet up with a former colleague of mine and some people he works with at a microbrewery not far from here, have a few drinks. And other than that, yeah, just gonna relax and maybe I don't know, pull some things out of the safe and see what kind of improvements I can make. Maybe move some parts around to optimize a couple things.
There's something that changes over time. You talk about going to a microbrewery. As we're younger and as we get older, how our tastes of brew and beer change over the years. I know as a youngin, the lighter beers, even Corona, I would drink. Then I started to move into darker beers, and now that I'm in my 50s, it seems like Guinness is where I'm at.
Yeah, Guinness has actually been my go-to for quite a while, but the microbrewery wasn't even my idea. I guess it's something that they do, and I was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing after work? You want to go shoot some pool?" He's like, "I think they have a tournament going on." So I'm going with a coworker up in microbrewery. I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah,
if it's an open invite, I'll come."
It's a good time. You get to sit around and do a whole lot. Maybe they said they got a tournament going on, so I get to get with friends, get some.
Yeah,
maybe get some chicken wings and.
Yeah,
It always seems like chicken wings taste better when they come from a bar or from a chicken place than what they do when you try to make them at home. Don't get me wrong, though. I do phenomenal smoked chicken wings.
I actually the funny thing is I asked him, was like, do they have food? He's like, no, they don't have food, so I got to figure out what to eat before I get there because I haven't eaten today, and I don't really want to go, drink on an empty stomach and have to drive all the way back home. So I've got to figure that piece out.
That's kind of crazy for a place like that not to have food. I don't think I've ever been to a
You'd
bar
think.
that doesn't have some sort of, finger food, rather it's a sandwich or pizza or some cheap wings or something like that. Even potato skins, something to sit on the stomach there and to, help sop up some of that alcohol.
Yeah, actually, since you mentioned that, it's been a couple months ago. The in-laws had driven up here to Oklahoma, and they were in one of the college towns nearby, meeting up with some people. Like, oh yeah, come up here and drink with us. It's like, okay, well, what, do they have food? Because we were leaving right after work. Like, oh no, you can just bring that. They had picnic tables and stuff. Like, you could bring your own food, but they don't serve food, only alcohol. Okay, interesting.
Right.
I would think that would be that would actually be a good thing to have. I mean, you'll make more sales. Plus, you probably helps with how things are classified. If you're not just serving alcohol, you probably have a little more flexibility as a business. You're also selling food. But then again, I don't know. I've never run a bar or a restaurant, so I could be wrong.
No, I'm sure the overhead has something to do with it too, because with alcohol, there's a lot less waste than what there is when you have any kind of a food product you have to maintain, and then you have to deal with the temperatures and everything else. So I could definitely see how that would cut an overhead cost by not having any kind of a food there. But like you, I like to be able to go to a bar, sit down. I mean, even if it's some nuts, but I'd prefer something a little more substantial. Some pizza or some wings, or hell, go in the back and get some Tyson frozen wings, toss them in the microwave, put those out there. I'm at a bar. I'm not at a 5-star restaurant. I'm not looking for a Michelin level dish.
Yeah, just looking to settle down with belly full of liquor.
Well, I actually prefer the bars and the bar food. I think it has better flavor, and it's a hell of a lot less expensive. And I get my liquor and my beer.
Yeah, I could attest and agree with that, 100%.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. That is true.
I will say, I joke with my wife. I don't drink enough. That's my problem. I'm pretty I have I've got some Guinness at home, and she's got some other alcohol, and we're not big drinkers. We don't drink very often. Occasionally we'll people that we work with say, hey, we're doing the thing, and we'll go out and drink with them and have a good time. But the bar is also a block away from the house, so I don't even have to drive. I can just walk home. So I won't say overdo it, but I can go in heavy if I want to and not have to worry about getting a DUI. But other than that, I mean, I kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, I have alcohol. I should probably drink. I think about this like maybe every 2-3 months. It's like, yeah, I better drink that before it goes bad. But I don't know. I when I was younger, when I say young, like my mid-20s, because I didn't start drinking until I was 26. I grew up around some people who were, some were, not anybody immediate family, but kind of cousins and friends who just got really into it and did a lot of heavy drinking. I was like, that's not something I really want to do, and I kind of just did not drink at all until I was out of college in my mid-20s, and then I finally started like, shit ain't half bad. I may try a little bit more of that, and for a little bit, it was heavier than it probably should have been, and I kind of dialed it back to just I guess what's normal. I'm not a heavy drinker, but as I've gotten older, I don't do it as much just because I don't have like I said, I'm more of a social drinker, and since I don't socialize as much as I used to, I don't drink as much as I used to.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I go through spurts. I'll go through dry spells where I don't drink anything for a while, and then I go through other spells where I'm like, I need to slow down. But with that being said, I'd like to welcome Mayhem to the stage. Mayhem's one of our moderators that moderates our YouTube channel, and you see him talking in the chat all the time during the grand jury. I'd like to welcome him to the stage. Mayhem, thanks for joining, buddy.
Oh yeah, it's always good to hear about what's happening with our good old president and Mr. Putin. How are you? Thanks for the intro, Big Ron. You're the Big Ron, Big Ron.
Yeah, I appreciate
And
that. Thank you, Mayhem. You're definitely the Mayhem.
okay. Hey, is that Burton's Fidgy laugh?
Yeah, that is me, Mayhem. And one of the things you said earlier about what we drink, I got turned on to ambers about 15 years ago, and I've just kind of stayed with them. I don't really like the dark beers. Cannot stand an IPA. And when I drink anything whiskey like, it's Scotch. So I've got a couple of special bottles of Scotch that I'll break out for friends when they're over. But I typically just stick to beer. You can tell by my waistline.
We can't see your waistline on camera. I mean, there's a profile picture, but
No, that's exactly the point.
Well, I can contribute to the drinking portion. I sparingly drink. You can say being in the military kind of cut me out of that. I think I did that back over the weekend for 2 years when I was in Japan. Got my first taste and had a lot of fun. It was innocent fun, nothing crazy. But then over the course of time, I decided to actually develop a palate of drinking whiskeys. So I've tried a Japanese one that my wife got me. It had like a hint of vanilla, and it was amazing. It's a $50 bottle, worth every penny. But after getting introduced to Whistle Pig, which is a brand that has a nice, sweet, strong, succulent taste flavor of whiskey, that's what I want. But that bottle is expensive. It's almost $100. But that'll last me probably for a couple of years because I'm not a heavy drinker anymore. I rarely drink.
Well, I can't say I rarely drink.
I have another outlet. I just get on the video games with B. Wayne. I know you don't like video games that much, Burton.
Okay, it's not necessarily that. Is I dropped video games a number of years ago because they were causing a problem.
What kind of games did you play? Like a type of genre?
Didn't have a specific one. I raced NASCAR and I did adventure games and I did some first-person shooter. I completed Doom and what was the one prior to that? The Castle one.
Castle Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein. Completed both of those.
Big Ron is also a gamer.
The Assassin's Creed. Never finished that one.
That's one of B. Wayne's favorite collections. Literally, when he's on, he's always playing that.
So I started my gaming on a Commodore 60, with an Atari Pong. So I've been gaming for years.
I started my gaming on an Atari and a Coleco.
Shoot, Coleco. God, that's old.
I skipped the Coleco, went to the Commodore 64 because I could program my own.
Now I had the 2600. I had the television. I don't know if anybody remembers that one. That was kind of a competitor.
Oh yeah, that.
Television. I remember that
television.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I went from Atari straight, and it was the old Atari. I never got to 2600. Straight to Nintendo.
Luddite.
I've been playing the beta for Battlefield 6 right now, which isn't too horribly bad.
I just got that, and I'm trying to figure out a way where I can get with you guys on the game, and hopefully it's not as bad as Call of Duty because I downloaded it, wanted to see if I can get back on it, and then I realized the reason why I stopped playing it, so I removed it from my PlayStation.
Well, my story is about 15 years ago, I was heavy into the NASCAR, and I had the force feedback controller and multiple monitors set up so I could see peripheral and all of this. And one night my wife told my youngest daughter, go get your dad for dinner. And she started around the corner, heard the game playing, and went back and looked at her and shook her head like no. Because if she walked in and asked a question and it distracted me for a split second, I went into the wall, I was going to go off, and I went, all right, no more games.
I prefer the, like you, Burton, the adventure, but mainly RPGs because it's a strategic way of playing, either with the character, with its limitations, or standard beat 'em ups. Because sometimes when you're angry, you just want to beat up some bad guys. At least it's justified because it's on a game controller and the TV screen.
Amen. But no, I started gaming and before video games were a deal. As a matter of fact, one of the first things I did on a Commodore 64 was I came up with a random dice generator so I could roll characters for D&D.
I didn't know you could do that. Dang, Burton, you're full of surprises. Are you still working on that project you was telling me about?
Which one? I told you about 7.
Oof. Shoot. I'm trying to remember the one specifically you told me that was similar to what our boy Dexter was doing about making an enhancement on something to make improved. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that. I've got the drawings for it, but I'm afraid to build it because I'll go to prison.
Darn it.
Do you live in New York?
No, I live in Texas, but the ATF still comes knocking on your door if they find out about it.
Yeah, but they're not looking for you. They're looking for the people that should not be here.
Oh, that's true, but still, I got
Those
too
that
much
shall
built
not be
up here. I don't
mentioned.
want to take the chance.
They're trying to be PC.
If I can jump in here real quick, I'd like to welcome any new people to the show. We're still waiting for President Trump and President Putin to come out from their summit and give a joint press conference. So far, the meeting's taken a lot longer than what they anticipated, so that could be a good or a bad thing. Let's hope that things went well and they can come to a ceasefire agreement. I think if that happens, this may help normalize relations between the U.S. and Russia also, which in the long run could be a good thing. So what do you guys think about that? If we were able to normalize relations between the U.S. and Russia a little bit, where we weren't in this constant kind of a reverb of the Cold War from the 1980s.
Well, globally, I think it would be a good idea. Culturally, I'm not sure how that's going to work because there's a number of other quote unquote hotspots around the world that may end up causing some issues. If we could come to some kind of agreement and get this Russia-Ukraine thing resolved, that would be a good idea. That would be good.
I have to rely on the side of Burton on this one as well. Looking at how the way things are going, especially with the politics around here, we need to establish some form of order because there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there thinking that we're headed toward some kind of world mass organization league to where there's only be certain people telling us what to do with the order, kind of like how they were trying to express putting military in every city. And that wouldn't be good for any of us, honestly. Establishing a good working order of peace, especially how we can work together, would actually be better for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. We definitely don't need any kind of a new world order that's trying to drive us in any one direction. And I agree with you. I think we may have seen that with the last election, where people were trying to drive us to one direction with a lot of these specialty groups. There was a thing I just saw in the news where there's a company that released information that said that there's been a 400% jump in paid protesters. And a lot of people need to understand that that's a real thing, paid protesters. You see these protests all over the U.S. This is real. This isn't a talking point by one side or the other. People are getting paid to go out there and protest. It is what it is. That is today's age of politics, where a lot of stuff's not organic. But I agree. I think that if we can normalize, I think one of the things that's going to have to come to a point is that war is hell. We all know that, especially for those of us that are prior military. We know war is hell. Some of the stuff that I've heard that is some of the concessions is that Zelensky doesn't want to. Basically doesn't want to do anything. He wants it to be his way or no way. And then Putin, I've heard, and again, this is all hearsay, and hopefully we'll hear today when this press conference happens. We'll be able to hear straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Basically, he wants land that hasn't been quote unquote conquered yet or occupied. Wants Ukraine to not have a standing army and things like that. And we all know that that's not going to be a go-to either. That's going to be a no-go. You're not going to be able to not let that country have a have a military force to protect itself, especially after what we've seen just happen with Russia over the past 3 years, where they've invaded, quote unquote, their special military operations. So I'm definitely curious to see what happens. I'm not sure who this streamer is here on the screen, but yeah, it'll be nice to see what happens. But we're just a little over an hour and 18 minutes, everybody, waiting for the President Putin and President Trump to come out and address everybody from their summit. But while we're waiting on that, for those of you that don't know, we have some good friends of the show, and one of the friends we have is a gentleman named Steve, and he has a podcast called Range Minded Podcast. I think everybody should check that out. It's not a bad podcast. It's got some really great info.
Have you ever wondered to yourself, man, what time does the store close? Or where's the best cheeseburger near me? Well, I'm not going to answer those questions. That's what your damn phone is for. Use that. Instead, if you have stuff related, to the 2A world, I'm your man. My name's Steve. I run the Range Minded Podcast. On the podcast, we talk about all things Second Amendment, whether it be new guns or gear. Maybe we talk about some training. We'll dig into Washington and the shenanigans they get up to. Sometimes we talk about the Supreme Court and the crap that they're doing. It's always a good time, a little smorgasbord of the 2A, if you don't mind me using that narrative. Either way, you can find us whether on YouTube or Rumble, Range Minded Podcast. I'm also on all sorts of streaming services, wherever you listen to your podcast. Range Minded Podcast. You can jump on the website, rangemindedpodcast.com. Maybe stop by, buy a patch and some other things. There you can link to the social medias and all that other stuff. Hope to see you there. It's always a good time. Anyways, you guys have fun, stay safe, and always stay range-minded. See you guys soon.
All right, that was the Range Minded Podcast. Great podcast to watch. Goes over politics related to the 2A, firearm items, kind of like our friend Pancakes down there. Really great one to watch. I would definitely suggest looking him up and giving him a good look and a follow. I'd also like to welcome Would That Girl and our one of our co-hosts, Grizzly Greg, to the show. Again, some great people to follow. And I'd like to say hi to a personal friend of the show, B, who's out there in the audience. Great to see you. She's on our Friday show every night, always out there in the audience. It's great to see you. I'd like to thank you for streaming also. For those of you that don't know, please feel free to push this out. Click the like button. Let your friends know about it. Help us with the algorithm. The more people that can see this kind of stuff, the better it is. Independent reporting is a great way to do things. The mainstream media is never going to tell you what you want to hear. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the rest of our people down here. What that girl? Welcome to the show. How you doing tonight? That's awesome. I agree. So we'll go back to what Mayhem was saying here, kind of off topic a bit. You were talking about Whistle Pig. Fall back to some of my favorite things. I've never had Whistle Pig. I've got a buddy of mine that talks about what is that, monkey shoulder? I don't know if you've ever had that. Talks about monkey shoulder all the time. But I've been kind of digging the Jefferson Ocean, if you've ever had any of that.
No, actually, I'm trying to broaden my horizons when it comes to the whiskey palate, due to the fact that that's honestly the best to me, in my personal opinion. However, my wife did introduce me to this peanut butter whiskey that I've been wanting to try. So different flavors of different kinds of whiskeys. I'm open up to all of them. It took me some time, but Whistle Pig is number one. I still recommend getting some Japanese whiskey, though, because I don't know what it is, but they're always top notch in their distilleries. So if you ever get a chance to do that, check it out.
I can't argue the Japanese whiskey with you. I was stationed in Japan for a lot of years, and yes, their sake, their whiskeys, definitely very good. And that's a lot of stuff with Japan. The craftsmanship that goes into anything that they make is second to none. They take such care and love literally into what they do. They really do put their heart and souls into to making that kind of stuff. So I agree. If you've never had any kind of Japanese whiskey, definitely go look that up. Give it a taste. See if you guys like it. One of the best.
Make sure you have a full stomach, though, because
make sure you have a full stomach. It's definitely strong. Definitely one of the things I would do is find a local bar, not so much a big chain bar, that does whiskey tastings or whiskey pairings. That's another great thing to do. St. Augustine, Florida, here they do that a lot. You can go down and do whiskey pairing. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different whiskeys or bourbons or scotches, and they'll give you a little bit of background on them, and you can taste the difference. I did one not too long ago. It was 4 different bourbons, starting off with Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which I have in my cabinet. And then working my way through Blanton's, and I can't remember what the 4th one was, but each one progressively got stronger. So it's really a great thing to do if you guys have never done a whiskey pairing.
We call those whiskey tastings around here.
Yeah, or a whiskey flight, or a bourbon flight. It all depends on where you go. They'll give it a different name.
Yeah, there's a chain. I guess it's a chain here. It's a series of stores. I had it right on the tip of my tongue. It's Twin Liquors, and they'll have a monthly whiskey tasting that you go in, and they've got a selection of 5 or 7 that they'll have you. Okay, this is what it tastes like straight. This is what it's like if you add ice. This is what it's like with this, and walk you through what each whiskey or bourbon or whatever will do as you drink it. Really interesting. It's a lot deeper than what I used to think.
Yeah, when I first started getting into it, I got into bourbon purely by accident, if that makes any sense. My wife had bought me a bottle of bourbon one year. I think it was 1792. And it came with a pair of glasses, but on the back of it was a recipe for an old fashioned, and that's where I started to go downhill. So I started drinking old fashions, and now I've gotten to the point now where I most bourbons I start with, I do with a 2-finger pour. I do it neat. And for those of you that don't know what neat is, that is straight, no ice, no nothing. Let it breathe a little bit, because I find if you can't drink a bourbon straight, then you're not going to enjoy drinking it any other way. So I have found some bourbons to be too hot for me. I just gave my son a bottle of Woodford Reserve double proofed. I found that to be a little too hot for me. I think it was 105 or 110 proof. It was just I didn't like drinking it. It wasn't enjoyable. When I drink a bourbon, I want to enjoy it. I don't want it to burn my taste buds.
Oh yeah, shameless plug of a whiskey you can try if you're a first starter is Telomar Dew. It is smooth, not too spicy, has good flavor in it. If you're just starting off, it's $20. And most people are like, $20, that's cheap. Like, actually, for $20, it's actually a pretty good distilled whiskey. So if you're just starting, try Telomar Dew.
I think the 2023, or was it the 2024 whiskey of the year, was like a $35 bottle of whiskey. It wasn't anything like over the top, and it's amazing that that happens sometimes. You think that with a lot of this stuff, you've got to pay a high price to get a really good bourbon or a whiskey or a scotch, depending. And in some cases, you don't. $30 is, was one of the top brands, and I can't remember what year that was. But I was really surprised though that it was just a kind of run of the mill type of bourbon. It wasn't anything off the wall.
You ever try Macallan?
Go ahead.
Let's say you ever tried the Macallans, or what's that fighter that made his own whiskey? I'm trying to remember his name. Conor McGregor's thank you. Conor McGregor's whiskey. Has anyone ever tried it? Because I have, and it is dry. If you're not into dry whiskeys, do not try that.
I have not. I would like to give a shout out to the screen. My fellow sailors there on the screen. Go Navy. Who dat girl?
Go Air Force.
I won't hold it against you.
See, I can't say anything against the Navy because my grandfather retired from the Navy, and my dad was Navy, and my uncle was Navy. My other uncle was Army, and I followed him. So,
My dad was Air Force.
Heck yeah, Air Force goes. But no, my sister, she was in the Navy, and she highly enjoyed it while she did her service term. So, no, respect to all of my brothers and sisters in all branches. It's just you know how we all are. We like to talk trash because we're a family of different
Well, yeah.
branches.
The military
I
will
mean-
talk trash about each other until somebody else that's not in the military talks trash about us, and then stand by to stand by.
Exactly.
Only branches can say I'm Chair Force. Anyone else, I'm like, nah, you didn't earn that, bruh. Only my brothers can say that to me. And
Well, I
sisters.
say that about myself because I was military intelligence. I was chairborne.
There's an oxymoron if there ever was one.
Tell me
And
about it.
if you're contracted, that we call those adopted. They call those adopted siblings.
Yeah, I take great pride in being part of the great dichotomy. Military intelligence.
Well, as much poking as we do with those guys that were in the military intelligence, we all know that you guys are indisposable.
You added a syllable to that right at the beginning.
I have everything.
Everybody's trying to figure out what the hell I'm talking about.
I'm gonna step away for just 1 second, guys.
Burn, could you explain what you're talking about?
Yeah, when you add the first syllable to indisposable, you change the meaning of the word. Take the first syllable off. What do you have left?
Well, this isn't a movie, but we could be expendable.
No. Disposable.
Disposable.
Instead of indisposable. Sorry. Too cerebral. Must be an MI joke.
Well, I ain't Triple H, but that was not a cerebral assassin type. Think comment. I was trying to give you a parallel of disposable with expendable.
Okay.
I'm gonna need you to start that project now.
Damn it. I ain't got time to start the project now. It's almost dark. It's beer drinking time.
Don't forget that IPA. Right, pancakes?
Right
I don't have
on.
any IPA. Can't do that.
Actually, I don't even know what I'm going to have because I've never been to this place before, which actually I've got to bail out here in just a few minutes and waiting on some tasks to finish, to complete, and then I've got to shut down and head out.
No, we appreciate you coming in, pancakes, and
No problem.
and helping us keep the stream going while we're waiting for both President Trump and President Putin to get done with their summit.
Yeah, it looks like I'll have to, I mean, this is working for me now, but I'll have to take some time and actually get an account set up. Because I'm just in here as I don't know if it shows. I guess I'm in here as a guest, sort of, because I don't have an account or anything.
There's a free account that you can get that'll save all your settings.
Awesome.
I'm
Yeah,
waiting
I'll
for
try to give it a look this weekend.
waiting for the temperature to go down a little bit outside. I'm eventually going to get that new toy of mine out to the range.
What do you, oh, the Kuna?
Yeah,
Yeah, that ought to be a lot of fun.
yeah, I hope so. I just got the bag for it tonight. I got a 26-inch bag, and it just barely fits in there. It's perfect.
What kind of bag? Was it just some kind of off-brand or something specific?
No, it's just an off-brand,
Yeah.
over the shoulders, single sling bag to keep in the truck.
Sling bag? Nice. Yeah, I need to dig through and see if I've actually got something that'll work with my 300 blackout. So I've got a couple sling bags, but they're smaller. I don't know if they'll. Actually, what I really need to get is one of those, or at least I want to try out one of the folding pistol grips. I don't know if you've seen those. Kind of like they're actually used it for the I can't remember what it's called, but the new Air Force bug out pistol rifle FBR that they started. It's been a few years. I don't know if you've seen that one. You know what I'm talking about? See if I can find something I can link you to.
Is that like a survival firearm they're putting inside the seats, the jets now?
Yeah, but it's on an AR platform now. I don't know if I don't know how long they were still running the AR-7, but which if you don't have one of those, they're a lot of fun. Although I wish you could find higher capacity magazines for those more easily. But it's nice to have something small you can just throw in a bag and assemble, do some 22 shooting.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting to get a lot more movement inside the briefing room now. So hopefully this means that they're getting ready to. Oh my God! Look at that! Not off subject there. Look at that guy with the red tie. He must have used magic marker to color his beard.
Hey, tell the cameraman to know how to focus that thing, man. Jeez, I'm not even professional. I'm better than him.
Look, he used just for ink on that beard. It's crazy. Look how dark that thing is. That's nuts.
Hey, tell us your age without telling us your age. Well, I marked my beard.
Oh my gosh! I'm sure that man owns stock in Kiwi shoe polish.
Whoa, cameraman's a little anxious. Yo, what's up with that guy's hair? Like, dude, did you comb it before you got up there? Looked like he got electrocuted.
Looks like my hair when I take my headset off. And that's why I have an avatar.
Hey, perfect avatar. Perfect. Unlike mine, it's just a championship belt that I purchased for like $60.
For those of us that are just joining, I'd like to welcome you to the show. This is an impromptu live stream of the Trump-Putin meeting. Earlier, we streamed some video of Trump and Putin landing in Alaska and doing their handshakes and walking up to the podium together. We definitely pulled the red carpet out for this one to kind of smooth things over. Hopefully, it shows Putin that we're serious. And we've been talking about hopefully that this summit brings a ceasefire to the Ukraine conflict and the likelihood of this actually kind of normalizing relations between the U.S. and Russia, which I think on a better basis that would be good. It'd probably give us some good economic prospects out there too if we could normalize with Russia a little bit and kind of tone things down in the world. So hopefully, once both presidents come out, we'll get a better insight of what they've been talking about. We've been running for about an hour and a half straight now, and we've still been waiting. So we've had some pretty good commentary. Don't forget, everybody, that the chat is open. We're taking live chats, so feel free to post stuff. We'll go ahead and throw it up on the screen. We'll converse with you live. I've got a really good panel here. We've got Hawk Pancakes, Mayhem, and Who Dat Girl. These are all followers of the show. They're on here with our show every Friday night. Every Friday we have a show called The Grand Jury, where we have a panelist of 5 people that watch live police videos and have some pretty good banter, make the decision if that was lawful or non-lawful. If you guys haven't caught the show yet, definitely come catch that show. Every Friday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We always put it out. So go ahead and feel free to give us a follow. If you're not already following our host, Joe Lanou, feel free to give him a follow. You can find him on Rumble at Joe Lanou or on YouTube at Joe Lanou. I would normally post his X account, but right now X and him aren't seeing eye to eye. And if you're not following me, feel free to follow me. You can find me at Big Ron, Big_Ron_ on X. If you guys want to be on the show at any point in time, feel free to give myself or Joe Lanou or any of our other co-hosts a shout out. We'll get you on the show. It's a great time. Look forward to having y'all.
Oh, don't forget, Big Ron, that Joe also has a Patreon.
That is true. Our friend Joe does have a Patreon. Joe Lanou is our host. Feel free to scan the Patreon. We do pay for these shows completely out of pocket. Any little bit that we get donated does go back into the show, whether that be with audio equipment, headsets, helping to pay for the streaming service. These things aren't free. And we want to try to bring better and better quality shows, and the only way to do that is, of course, we have to up our game. So feel free to scan the link on the screen, QR code, and it'll go to Joe Lanu, and we really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you bringing that up, Mayhem. I completely spaced that, my friend.
Anything I could do to help. I'm always looking forward to the grand juries. The live chats and the YouTube are awesome. We like everyone's contributions, and you guys even get involved, even though the panel can't necessarily hear you. Joe, Big Ron, and myself truly appreciate the participation.
Yeah, it looks like our screen is, or our briefing room starting to fill up quite nice. So hopefully this will hear somebody in the background there saying hi, everyone. So hopefully this means that the presidents, President Putin and President Trump, are going to be coming out soon, and we'll get an insight of what these two leaders from the two nations have come up with. If we're going to see a ceasefire and some peace, and if this is actually going to set up for a second summit. If anybody's been paying attention to this, the president said that this would most likely, if everything went well, would be an into for the next summit, and there'll be multiple summits. I think Zelensky is going to be the biggest issue with this. If anybody's been following it, we know that Zelensky is kind of hard-headed sometimes, and I don't know if you guys can fault him for that or not. If somebody just rolled into your country and started killing people, but we've gotten to a point now with this after 3 years to where the lines have pretty much stabilized. Well over 1 million people on both sides have been killed, so it's time to bring this to an end. It's not going to seem to move at all. What do you guys think about that?
Sorry about that, Big Ron. Totally agree that we definitely need to make some progress. I think I can understand Zelensky's position when it comes to being not having a great decision or just bowing out or bowing in to what they're saying due to, he had his people attacked, they died. And honestly, his people are looking to him, for leadership and some guidance. But honestly, the better bet for him to actually secure the protection of his people would actually to make some kind of agreement with them and figure something out that would actually help everyone out. There is no agreement without both parties winning. That's how business works. One's going to win more than the other. It's just like in anything. So honestly, I think as much as it pains to have him deal with this, it's better for the future of him and his country if he would have just have an understanding instead of putting up a strong defense.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with that. I know I've seen some stuff come out where some of the concessions that they want are kind of brazen. Putin's come out and basically said he doesn't want Ukraine to have a military at all, and he wants territory that he hasn't quote unquote conquered yet. Rather that's true or not, I'm 100% sure. I know some of the stuff I was saying that it may have been a mistranslation. Which is why President Trump brought his own translator. That way there was no mistranslations. And then, of course, Zelensky in a lot of cases, and like you're saying, Mayhem doesn't want to really give any concessions. But I think at this point he's going to have to realize that he's going to have to, there's going to have to be concessions given to stop this. I mean, he's eventually, as horrible as this sounds, he's eventually going to run out of people. I mean, they're already drafting the elderly and the children to fight in this, and I think it's ridiculous. So we'll see what comes out of this.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but the longer that stretches on, the better on the Cold War front it works out for us, because Russia doesn't have any backup. They got no depth on their bench. So
No, I completely agree. I do think we've found out a lot in the last 3 years, that maybe the Russia wasn't as advanced or as strong as we thought they were, with some of the military equipment that we've seen come out. which leads me into the other quote unquote superpower that we have in the northern hemisphere. If maybe they're not as advanced as what we think they are, what they're showing to be. That's definitely raises some curious questions.
It just thought occurred to me if we look at the hotspots around the world, what are the hotspots that we as a country would have to worry about, or the peoples that we would have to worry about coming at us? That eliminates a threat.
Oh, I definitely agree. I definitely do. It does eliminate a threat, and like we were talking about earlier, if we can somewhat normalize any kind of relations with Russia, um, and maybe get close to what we were like when who was the guy that had the birthmark on his head? Um,
Gorbachev.
Gorbachev, yeah, to kind of that level, after the Reagan era, where things were a little bit more normalized with Russia, where we were, working more handily with the International Space Station and things, late '80s, early '90s, where things were starting to level off. That would be nice to see. I don't know if we'll ever make it back to that point or not.
Техническая проверка. 121, 122, 123,
Yeah.
124, 125,
9.
126.
If they do, no, that's German.
10, 9.
I was gonna say if they're doing mic
Just,
checks, it's just a matter of time.
checking our last minute translation booths, making sure everyone is getting everything as needed. Again, you should be having
6,
English in your
5,
English only modes. Thus
4,
far, we'll get
3,
everything at the
2,
same time.
1,
On your headsets, it
0.
should be 00 floor, 01 should be English, and 02 should be Russian on your headsets. So again, just doing a couple last minute checks, making sure everything is going through as it should. Thank you.
I've often wondered, they're talking about translators, but you would think that President Putin would speak English. Given the fact that he's former KGB, that you would definitely want to speak the language of your adversary.
Oh, he does. Guaranteed. But Trump doesn't speak Russian, so Putin's
Not even a little bit.
Putin's going to use that to his advantage. He knows exactly what Trump is saying, what anybody else is saying, but he sits there and waits for the translator to translate what he's already heard, which gives him the ability to formulate his response and solidify the tone and the delivery before giving it.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, Big Ron, that's one of my biggest concerns when it comes to language barriers, and this is a good example of what's happening right now.
Yeah, and a funny thing is, a lot of people don't know. You hear them talk about it a lot with, why don't people learn this language or that language, or in some of the states where they cater to one language versus the other. But I've after being around the world as many times as I have, you find that English is the international language, and a lot of people don't want to agree with that, but it's the international language of air traffic control. It's the international language of maritime. It's the international language of banking, and it's the international language of business. Agree with it or not, it's true. It is a fact. It's not an opinion. Every country I've been to, everybody in all of those countries speak English. Rather it's Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, China, Japan, Indonesia, everybody speaks English. And some of the people that I know that have been over to the Europe are the same way. A majority of the people over there, they speak English. It's really interesting to see that if people don't know that. And again, it's not an opinion. It's not something I'm like, I feel one way or the other. English is the language that most countries will speak for those reasons. Which leads us to, yeah, I'm sure Putin, you're probably right, Putin does speak English.
And we've gotten to the point now too where the technology is available for AI near real time translation from one language to another, with phones or even earbuds, to the point where you can have a normal conversation with someone without much of a delay, but we still kind of do things the old fashioned way. And I'm sure that probably some of that has to do with you know uh, everyone else hearing what's being said at the time it's being said, and allowing them to make their own judgments and translations as it happens.
If you guys will pardon me for just 1 minute, I'm going to step away from the mic.
Nope, still just sitting there waiting.
On a side note, did you guys, I can't remember if somebody shared it in the chat or not, but did you guys see the comment from one of the Crescent teams earlier about when Trump and Putin met, and were shaking hands on the tarmac?
No, I didn't see or hear the comment.
So I guess there was a reporter. I say there was someone there. You couldn't really tell. You could just kind of pick it up in the background. And I think that what they asked was if Putin was going to. Let me play it real quick so I can re-listen to it. Sorry. They asked him, President Putin, will you stop killing civilians? He kind of did like, not quite hearing you, and just shrugged. And so the comment was, they should have snipers in Anchorage, Alaska, ready to take him out as soon as he shrugged. Like, ugh, yikes. That's and then of course he suggested after that, well, maybe it should be poison. And of course his account is still up. Strange as it may seem, even suggesting the assassination of a world leader, even if it's one that not everybody in this country may agree with, is pretty messed up.
And people wonder, never mind, I'm not going to go there. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's up with the rules for thee, not for me aspect when it comes to humanity?
Exactly. Well, and I hate to say it, but I think it's from I'm sure from an a revenue driven standpoint, the bigger you are, the more it takes to get yourself suspended, as opposed to some guy being inauthentic, quote unquote.
I see what you did there.
That is some authentic behavior on your part. And inauthentic behavior on the part of whoever posted that garbage.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is like I said, one of the Brian Krasenstein.
Oh, it's a Krasenstein? Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty authentic for them.
Yeah, that's expected from them.
Yeah.
They're idiots.
But then please tell me they're getting started because everyone was getting in their chairs. Mic check 1 2 1 2, and then hurry up and wait. Never gets old.
Reminds me of my time in the military.
It's kind of interesting. Some of the methods that we learned in the military can be applied to civilian life. One of them being hurry up and wait.
Yep.
So if you're on time, you're late.
Oh yeah, that's a method I live by to this day. Always make sure 15 to 30 minutes early.
Haha. I just found a photo of an Air Force military loadout.
We can't see it though.
That's because I didn't put it in there. I put it in a different location. You'll find it.
Pause. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
The 3G, 4G phone. It'll work better. You don't have the adapter. I can't break it now. I'm Bluetoothing into
Saying this waiting kind of reminds me of how they get you when you're going to concerts. Like, I'm so anxious to know what's going on, and then it's like, let the anticipation rise. They're waiting on you guys. You guys are the life of the party.
The flip phones are a little, they're older, but they don't take as much bandwidth.
All right, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that.
Yay! So I got a few more minutes, Big Ron. I'm actually going to be headed to a VA appointment. Shout out to our VA members helping our veterans out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really good of you. For anybody
I don't
like to
think
know
they get
my
enough.
wife,
Well, I don't think they get enough credit because ever since the RIF happened, because my wife actually works for the VA, she's had to deal with a lot of the backfire of the RIF. Right now, it's on a current hold, which means they have about 3 months before it reactivates again, and they start cutting more people. Not sure what the deal is, but that actually backs up a lot more veterans who can't get the assistance they need. And then there are a few veterans, elderly than myself, that have their methods of how they think the VA should work. So that's always an issue.
I don't think I've ever really thought about how the VA should work. I know how it doesn't work.
I mean, I can give you a little bit information. My wife doesn't give me every detail, but enough for me to know due to her position of where she works. The amount of funding that we get for veterans is based on how many veterans are able to get that come to the VA. So the more veterans, the more business, the more funding. The less amount of veterans, the less funding. And she's afraid that they're trying to go private practice, and that would actually not be good.
I think I've probably been to the VA, well, probably a handful of times. I get seen on base since I'm a retiree. I can get seen on base, but yeah, I can see how if you don't have the clientele, then there's no need of having the people. But with that being said, I'm sure there's a lot of bloating that we don't see that probably needs to go.
Oh, they did. My wife actually sent me an update. I actually posted on my timeline on X that they are discontinuing contracts for the union. Now, a lot of folks might find that as a bad thing, but there's a lot of money that they input into these unions for the VA workers. But the problem is a lot of them, the union, based upon what my wife has told me, they're not utilizing the union to the best of its ability, and it's more of being a succubus of money and taking the funding from us and putting it into the union. So with them cutting the union contract, it's going to be more money that comes to us, which I think is smart, especially since there's a lot of union workers that haven't been doing what they're supposed to do. They've kind of like been dragging on, especially when it comes to issues with VA workers and maybe leadership there. Not all the leadership is bad. Just some of the quite a good amount of workers want to work remotely, and Trump doesn't want people just working remotely because it kind of breeds laziness due to the fact people are in their homes. And when you're at home, you don't want to work. Ask anyone. I don't want to work. I mean, I do, like if the house has to get clean or something. But if you're talking about doing my actual job, I'd rather be out of the house than in the house.
No, I completely agree with you, and I find myself doing the same thing. If I come home early, and I know I've got paperwork to get done, and I really have to push myself to want to get that paperwork done. Versus if I sit in the truck, I'll get it done because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And B made a comment over here saying that the VA needs an overhaul, and that she's saddened that we haven't moved the needle much since November. And I can agree with you on that. There's a lot of things I think people are a little annoyed about, that things aren't moving as fast as what we want them to move. I do think some of that is due to bureaucrats definitely slowing stuff down. Not that that's an excuse, because we can't always see behind the scenes. But I agree. I think things should be should be moving a little bit quicker. I think we're getting bogged down on certain things that may not matter to some of us, or some of us just don't care about. In the things that we do care about, or are passionate about, or do affect us, in some cases, don't seem to be they don't seem to be addressing those issues in the timely manner that we would like.
And see,
And it also goes with the leadership. Oh, sorry. You can go where I already saw.
I have the opposite issue. When I'm at the office, I get hardly anything done because, it's just, there's people walking up, there's too much going on.
Oh, good, you're
It's just
here.
garbage. And when I'm working at home, I have to set a timer and alarm to remind me to log off of my computer and stop working. Because I'll just keep going.
Yeah, I'm not like that anymore. I'm to the point now where, but Joe will tell you. I think Joe hates my job more than I hate my job. I've gotten to the point now with my job. I'm older and out in the heat all day. I'm tired, and it is what it is. If it didn't pay as good as it did, I wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, Big Ron.
I wish I could take time off during the day to do other stuff that I would find more fun. But I've got stuff I got to get done, so I get it done.
Yeah.
I get more done at home than I do in the office.
See, I'm the exact opposite.
Oh yeah, those are called hobbies.
Well, the problem is by the time I finish work, I don't have time for any hobbies because I'm in here messing with you fools.
We love you too, Bert.
Unfortunately for me, home only happens when something goes wrong. Even my business was mostly shut down during COVID, but we were still in the office 5 days a week because we were essential. So
it's amazing how many of us were essential.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't essential, so I was remote. And when they started doing the back to the office thing, I was like, okay, cool. I get out of the house and see the world a little bit, and I get to the office and realize that I didn't get to accomplish a damn thing today. And
yeah, that's okay.
It's just the realization that I get more done working remote because of the job I have than I do sitting in that bloody office. It baffles me. What in my case, that's the way it is. In other people's case, it's not. I understand that.
Well, think about it this way, Burton. You like to work in certain solace, and I've met quite a few people that like to work by themselves, and they tend to get more work done because there's less distractions. My wife's the same way. She gets so much accomplished when she's able to work remotely than she is in the office because she gets bombarded with questions, door knocks at her office door, and obviously meetings. So if I could, they actually came out with this job where you can actually do remote construction. I didn't even know that was a thing. Until my wife sent me a link to look into it, and it's safer, but obviously that you're sitting on your couch looking at your big screen TV. So if you're a video game lover, that would be the greatest job for you.
All those hours of Minecraft finally pay off.
I can't argue with B's comment. I cannot argue at all.
That's a good joke. B got you, Hog. B got you.
He did. Now, I when I'm at the office, I'll be sitting there working on something, and somebody will walk up and ask me a question, and then they stand there for 45 minutes chit-chatting. It's like, I answered your question 5 minutes ago. Can I get back to what I'm doing? Whereas when I'm remote, they have the question, they ping me on Teams and say, hey, what about this? And I give them their answer, and then we go on about our business.
How many meetings could have been an email, and how many emails could have been a text message?
All of them.
The vast majority.
Let's circle back.
Oh God, here we go.
And to this day, we have never circled back to get any of those answers.
See, when you
saying,
finally do manage to circle back and get all those answers, you'll finally find the synergy that we've all been looking for.
Oh God, you're going to start talking synergy? I'm going to throw up now.
What do you think we're doing right now, Burton? There's 4 people with different personalities working together. That is a form of synergy.
Hey, I don't know about you. I'm sitting there listening to you fools chatter on, and I'm surfing the web.
Oh,
Is that what that click-clacking noise and breathing was earlier?
Uh-huh.
This is a children's show, Burton.
Yeah.
That brunette that's standing up right there, isn't isn't she that CNN host that's horrible at her job?
That would be, instead of host, you misspelled host. It should be bimbo.
Caitlin Collins, is that her name?
I don't know.
That looks like it could be her. I just pulled up her picture.
What makes her terrible at her job exactly?
She works for mainstream media.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Looks like we might have something. Looks like we might have something going on. We've got everybody standing up taking pictures there off to the right-hand side. So let's see if this is going to be the President Trump and President Putin coming out.
I hate to run, but I've got to meet some people. It's been fun. I'll try to catch up with you guys later.
I appreciate you coming on, Pancakes. Enjoy your night.
Good to be here. Take it easy, guys.
Later, Pancakes.
All right, I'm in the same boat, guys, about to hit disappointments. So hopefully it's still going. I'll come back.
Well, have a good night. We'll see you tonight during the show, and enjoy, and be careful.
Yes, sir. See you, Burton. See you, Ron.
Take it easy, Mayhem. I'm going to stick around so you're not by yourself in here, Big Ron.
I appreciate that, Hawk.
I may change devices, but if I do, I'll be back.
There you go. Yeah, it's definitely Caitlin Collins. She's all about talking points and scripted interviews.
I can't stand that lady. I've tried watching some of hers, but I can listen to her voice about as much as I can listen to Trump's.
It's okay. I just realized that it wasn't on live. We were about 30 seconds back.
Oops.
I mean, I'll Gumby, but not that far.
Oh, did you hear that? The other Wi-Fi was totally dead. Totally dead.
No, I didn't hear. I was listening to the background, but I didn't hear you.
No, that's what she was saying in the background. The Wi-Fi was totally dead. Totally dead.
Oh my God.
First world issues. The Wi-Fi doesn't work. Well, for those of you that are just joining us, we are waiting for the press conference between President Trump and President Putin after their summit today. They've been at their summit all day since this morning. It was a working breakfast or brunch. Looks like everybody's filed into the conference room now and waiting for both presidents to show up to give us an update on what they've come with their summit they had today. We've been talking earlier about if they're going to get a ceasefire with Ukraine, and if so, if this may or may not normalize relations with the U.S. and the Russia. This is the first time that President Putin has been to the U.S. to meet with any of the presidents on U.S. soil, if I remember correctly, in over 10 years. So that's definitely a good step forward, and we definitely rolled out the red carpet for him with military flyovers. Military members posted on the red carpet and in a literal red carpet. So hopefully we'll have something good that comes out of this.
in New York. How's this audio now? How's this audio with Kelly 9? A little closer to her.
And for those of you that don't know, we do have a show tonight, the grand jury, where we take a random 5 people and put them on a panel as a grand jury and watch police videos. Watch police videos to see if the grand jury panel will indict or not indict, or bill or no bill those officers. If the use of force was justified, unjustified, or as a term that we've come across, lawful but awful. It was lawful, but it was awful. If you've never checked that out, it's on every Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Feel free to jump on in. If you guys ever want to be part of the grand jury, feel free to DM myself or Joe Lanou or any of the other co-hosts that you may come across on X or any of the other spaces, and we'll be more than happy to set you up to get you into the grand jury to be one of the panel members. If you need to get a hold of that, that'd be Joe Lanou on Rumble if you're watching us on Rumble. Funny enough, same exact thing if you're on YouTube. Joe Lanou. Joe_Lanou at YouTube, or you can DM me on X. That would be at big_Ron_. And I'll get that over to Joe Lanou, and we'll get you on the grand jury. We'd love to have you as a panel member. We're always looking for panel members every week. It's a good time. Definitely have some serious points, but most of the time it's a really good time. So make sure you guys check the show out tonight. I think I heard them say Pete Hegseth came in, so it sounds like the SecDef is there also.
She may have to give up on this.
Burton or Hawk, how do you think that Pete Hegseth is doing as the SecDef?
There's some of the stuff he's done that I'm okay with. There's some things that I'm not so sure about. So I guess that's about all you can hope for from a politician, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that we've gotten somebody in there as SecDef that was, I don't want to say a junior rank, but he was a less senior officer that's been down there on the ground with the troops. That looks like Secretary of State Rubio there that's also just walked in and sat down. So I'm going to make the assumption that we're probably going to kick this off here in just a couple of minutes, that we should be seeing President Trump and President Putin come in live for the press briefing here to let us know what they've come up with. Let's hope that we get something good out of this.
Yeah, and like you, I'm thinking. I mean, Hegseth, he seems to understand what his position was and is, and that he needs to listen to people that are more experienced than him. So that's a good thing. But I think there are some things that maybe he could do a little better. I don't know.
I think one of the biggest things that I learned as a senior NCO was just because somebody's junior to you doesn't mean they're dumb. I had some junior guys come up with some really great ideas, and I think that really helped me out as a leader. And I think maybe that's what Pete Hegseth's doing also, that he understands that junior people aren't dumb, and he understands that the senior people aren't dumb also. So we'll see.
Agreed. I mean, that's about all we can say, is that the future will show what decisions today affected in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America and the President of the Russian Federation.
Oh, here we go. I'm going to mute for now.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen,
Our negotiations have been held in a constructive atmosphere of mutual respect. We had very thorough negotiations that were quite useful. I would like to thank once again my American counterpart for the proposal to travel out here to Alaska. It only makes sense that we've met here because our countries, though separated by the oceans, are close neighbors. So when we've met, when I came out of the plane and I've said, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor. Very good to see you. In good health and to see you alive." I think that is very neighborly. And I think that's some kind words that we can say to each other. We're separated by the Strait of Bering, though there are 2 islands only between the Russian island and the U.S. island. They're only 4 kilometers apart. We're close neighbors, and it's a fact. It's also important that Alaska has to do with our common heritage, common history between Russia and the U.S., and many positive events have to do with that territory. Still, there is tremendous cultural heritage back from the Russian America. For example, Orthodox churches and a lot of more than 700 geographical names of Russian origin. During the Second World War, it was here in Alaska that was the origin of the legendary air bridge for the supply of military aircraft and other equipment under the Land-Lease program. It was a dangerous and treacherous route over the vast emptiness of ice. However, the pilots of both countries did everything to bring closer the victory. They risked their lives and they gave it all for the common victory. I was just in the city of Magadan in Russia, and there is a memorial there dedicated to the Russian and the U.S. pilots. And there are 2 flags, the U.S. flag and the Russian flag. And I know that here as well, there is such a memorial. There is a military burial place several kilometers away from here. The Soviet pilots that buried there who died during that dangerous mission. We're thankful to the citizens and the government of the U.S. for carefully taking care of their memory. I think that's very worthy and noble. We'll always remember other historical examples when our countries defeated common enemies together in the spirit of battle camaraderie and allyship that supported each other and facilitated each other. I'm sure that this heritage will help us rebuild and foster mutually beneficial and equal ties at this new stage, even during the hardest conditions. It is known that there have been no summits between Russia and the U.S. for 4 years, and that's a long time. This time was very hard for bilateral relations, and let's be frank, they've fallen to the lowest point since the Cold War. I think that's not benefiting our countries and the world as a whole. It is apparent that sooner or later, we had to amend the situation to move on from the confrontation to dialogue. And in this case, a personal meeting between the heads of state has been long overdue, naturally, under the condition of serious and painstaking work. And this work has been done in general. Me and President Trump have very good direct contact. We've spoken multiple times. We spoke frankly on the phone. And special envoy of the president, Mr. Woodcock, traveled out to Russia several times. Our advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict, and his strive to get to the crux of the matter, to understand this history, is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation, and I've said it multiple times, a brotherly nation, however strange it may sound in these conditions. We have the same roots, and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us, and terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. At the same time, we're convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long-term, we need to eliminate all the primary roots the primary causes of that conflict, and we've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia as
Big Ron, I'm
to
going to
reinstate a
change
just balance of security in Europe and in the world on the whole. And I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible. And our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the U.S. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, the border between Russia and the U.S., there is a so-called international date line. I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope that we'll succeed in that, in political sphere. I would like to thank President Trump for our joint work, for the well-wishing and trustworthy tone of our conversation. It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about the prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands that Russia has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreement will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate. And I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Ratcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here. And I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax that made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, it doesn't look like they're going to take any questions, so didn't get to it. Doesn't seem like we've gotten to a ceasefire, but it does seem like we've broke through some barriers, and we have looks like we may have softened the relationship a little bit, so that we can, I guess, move on to the next step where we can start to do this. Our good friend of the show, B, made the comment that Trump allows Putin to gush all over the U.S. It then starts with a no deal's been made yet. Slow your roll, little man. I find that quite comical. And I said earlier in the show, I didn't realize Putin was so short when he stepped off of his aircraft. He walked up next to President Trump. He's a good 6-7 inches shorter than him. So but that looks like that's the end of this. I'll tell you what, guys, we've got about 2 hours before we start the next show, which is going to be the grand jury tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys see the promo for the grand jury tonight, and we'll conclude the stream at the end of that promo. I'd like to thank Hawk for showing up and helping me run this tonight, and I'd like to thank all of you that are watching out there for coming to the show and running this 2.5-hour stream with me to see exactly what was going to happen with this historical event that's happened. And I'd like to thank all the people in the comments, B Mayhem and Skipper Veterans. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys in just a few hours on the grand jury. With that being said, we'll see you guys all tonight on the grand jury. Thanks.
Do you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Shetties?
No. I don't even speak to the... I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
I was conscious of the fact that he had a reputation for being an outstanding bookmaker.
Did you hear him referred to as the Prime Minister of the Underworld?
That term I did not.
Also known as Duck Corella. I refuse to answer on the grounds of an independent. Got any business? I refuse to answer on the grounds of attempted criminal. You have any profession? I refuse to answer on the grounds of made independent. Have any occupation? I refuse to answer on the grounds of made independent. Are you a known rat?
An incarcerated individual's use of institutional telephones constitutes consent, and your calls may be provided to law enforcement agencies. Thank you for using Securus.